Hello and welcome to the LOC's new shiny, shorter podcast format. And Chris is here as always. How's it going, Chris?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Dave. Very well. It's a good weekend to have this. I always enjoy a Saturday one because we're in the midst of it now. We're nearly there. We're not quite.
No, yeah, we are fully into in-season form now, you could say. We've knocked the rust off from pre-season, both podcast-wise and fantasy-wise. So, as you say, bring on the season, because as we all know, it goes by pretty swiftly. So,
right.
Enjoy it. We'll get straight to it with the recaps. Let's bring the drop over and, mosey straight on into the recaps. And we will pick up, of course, with the marquee matchup of last week, as chosen by Chris, as always, which was the Stubbs Bowl in week 1. I don't know if we have multiple Stubbs Bowl or not this year, because, I am in the same division as my dad. But for this one, at least, I took the win, Chris, 98-82. Not only is this against the grain victory against my dad, because historically, I think he is now 15-10 against me, but I suck in week 1 and I actually won, Chris.
Well, I'm pleased to see that form from years gone by has managed to keep going in week 1. That is for absolutely certain. But yes, the result actually was looking pretty good until. Really, your dad just topped out, didn't he?
Yeah, basically. He started early because he had Fairbairn Eagles. Not Fairbairn. Sorry, the Eagles D, and then Worthy obviously didn't play. So even though and the 6 p.m. games, as we remarked on Sunday, I obviously had none of. So I didn't do much.
Absolutely. I think the thing that stands out obviously most for Ben Acestes is, yes, as you mentioned, carrying a player is not easy, but a 51-point bench score as well was
wouldn't have made the difference. Would have been a close game, but wouldn't have made a difference.
Very close game, absolutely that.
Not unless he swapped some other players around as well. To be fair,
it would take a bit of a miracle there, and it would have been a bit of a flyer, as you mentioned, to start any one of. Pittman or Jalen Warren or Cedric Tillman or those guys, it would have been a challenge. But you had some guys on the bench too. But ultimately, Lamar Jackson on the day was the difference. Certainly the difference maker, I would say. And with a little bit of assistance from Sutton and Cook and the 49ers D. But Lamar is absolutely in that crazy game. Some are fating one of the best. One of the best of all time, I know week 1 all time. With 33.5 point score. So, yes.
That's it. At least he won somewhere this week.
Absolutely. But shoots of improvement for Dave, I say Hubbard and Brown. I think you're going to be well used throughout the course of the season. Yeah,
for sure. We'll go on to the next game then. By the way, you picked me and I picked my dad, so you're off to a good start there with the picks. Let's see how the rest of the week goes. On this game, Oklahoma Bears against Tom Summer. It's not one to remember. Tom scrapes to 80, so he avoids the old dreaded music. And I get one of these bad boys because I locked Tom. So smashed that out of the park in week 1. Not the way I planned it, but I'll take it. 81-45. I think Freddie is now 0-2 all time against Tom. He is indeed. Where is that? Yes, he is. Obviously poor week 1 from Freddie. Probably not going to be that bad, I would say. Maybe has a bit of worry with the running backs there, and obviously not a lot to speak of on the bench. He obviously went with the 2 defense tactic, Chris, and he still chose the wrong one by a point. Not that it would have made a difference, so we'll give him that. Tom, obviously not with necessarily a day to remember either, but again, he gets the W, and that's what matters. I don't really anything else to add. I mean, some big players didn't score really for Freddie. Jamar Chase obviously had a notably low day, and not too much of interest, though, I'd say. Go on, Chris.
Yeah, and I think much in the same vein, we've seen teams who've had stinkers be propped up by decent QB score, and even that wasn't there either for Freddie. So all round, certainly one to forget But yeah, so for Tom, I mean, he's done well to avoid the music. I think that this might constitute that.
I think 80 is where the line. Anything below 80, you get the music if you get a win. 80 is the bar, I think.
80 is the bar. I don't know what the low bar is for the other team, but yes. So he's done well to scrape by on a week where really three players have pops, of which two of them you'd expect, and Jordan Love, who's turned up in the game, which and Green Bay look good, don't get me wrong, but we'll see over the course of the year whether they can keep that up, as we'll see maybe a little bit later on.
Absolutely. You picked Freddie in that one, unfortunately, as well, so we'll split on the old pick'em so far, but I've got my lock in the bag, so we'll keep going. No music for this one, but it's coming for this one, I'm afraid. Make Kitchen's great again. Didn't have a great week one, but they did get the W, 68-50 over the Dream Team. I'm just going to keep the music going in the background here, because why not? I don't really know what you take away from this one. No points anywhere, really. Benches didn't do particularly good either. It was, just generally, it was a week where the LOL players didn't score. It was a fairly low scoring week in general. Better days ahead for both these teams, I think, Chris, but certainly one to forget for both of them.
100%, yeah. I mean, say for Viv, there's all stat lines you are not wanting to see. No touchdowns over his skill positions at all.
Yeah. Zero on the D. Big fat zero.
Yeah, zero from the D as well, which is not unbelievably good. Whilst, yes, for Ollie, you can't really go wrong too much. I mean, I say Lamb, Bowers, and Jones all in double figures. But again, woeful QB scoring with Trevor Lawrence and an anemic bench apart from Krosky Merritt, who may well merit a starting berth going forward.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, especially we'll come on to the news around the Thursday night game a little bit later. But yes, definitely. Viv also pivoted to Jerome Ford as well. Is probably the one thing to pick up on there, which I'm not sure he started Calvin Ridley, so. I mean, it didn't really make much of a difference, to be quite honest. But,
no.
It didn't work out for him. We nearly had the first negative D score in our new scoring, though. Not far off. So. I picked Ollie in that one, so I'm 2-1 here if you're keeping count. And Chris, you did pick Viv, so you've picked back-to-back teams who went sub 50 in week one here. So.
Not great, yeah. So it's just the curse, isn't it?
Yeah, clearly. We got the Florida Bowl next, which was, as when the game was played, Southampton was against Bucking the Trend, which featured the high-scoring team of the week, and Ross took an absolute buzzsaw to Mike, 137-78. Oh, my goodness, the dice gifted Ross here. Josh Allen obviously erupting for 43 points as well in week one. Derrick Henry obviously rolling for 28, and Zay Flowers, that game netted him over... Is that 90 points? Yeah, that's over 90 points. I think that's ridiculous. So to bring home the big W for Ross, not too bad a week for Mike, to be honest, Chris. Probably the only thing that let him down was Dak Prescott scoring generally past that, not too bad. But huge day from Ross. Huge day from Ross,
rather than Ross's team, shall we say? Certainly the dice. Somehow the dice have managed to put Allen and Henry in the same team, which has the potential throughout the course of the season to certainly be quite a high-powered offense. It's a high reliance on Baltimore, and it's a high reliance on Josh Allen keeping that play up. And games like we witnessed last week, or say last week, kind of is now, I suppose.
Last week, yeah.
We won't see those time and time again. But having said that, though, 136 points, you can't go wrong. And I give him zero credit for that. I give the dice all the credit. Congratulations.
Even the Bengals paid off. Like, come on. Like, what? The dice are just trolling us at this point.
What's going on? Yeah, absolutely that. They're fully trolling. Whilst for Mike, as you say, I think that he can't be too disappointed with that. I mean, yes, there are bits and pieces we picked up on last week. Pickens and Dak.
Yeah.
I think there are probably better options. However, I think this week we might see some rectification there and a bit more excitement. But look, credit where credit's due. Ross put the right team out, although it wouldn't have been too challenging to do. But put the right team out at the right time, and might need a new QB.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he should be better against the Giants, I think, to be fair.
You'd hope.
The play was good, I thought, from Dak against the Eagles. The touchdown.
Yeah, he was clean.
Yeah. So, and that's as hard as a matchup you'll probably get, especially week 1 with playing the Super Bowl champions in their house. So, yeah. I think Brees Hall was, just to point out, is probably could end up being almost a steal for Mike, especially relative to where he drafted him, at least. Very positive in week 1, so we'll see what happens there.
It's difficult 5-week stretch. Buffalo, at Tampa, at Miami. Which
you say that though, but against Pittsburgh should have been a difficult game. Chris reserving judgment, so we'll see. We both picked Ross to win that one, by the way. So we're back on the horse. I think that takes you back to 2-2, Chris. I think that makes me 3.
Absolutely.
And this next one, fairly close game actually between you and Pat, Chris. But you take the dub, 99-86, and you get unfortunately the old dreaded for locking Pat, but you did get the W, so I see what you did there.
Gladly take that.
Mahomes obviously had a fairly decent day, 28 points there, and obviously Brian Robinson. Mika Abreu, that was the fun one. I mean, God, he had a lot of hype around him, obviously, leading up into the draft and stuff, and paid it off big time, catching 2 touchdowns. The mighty Boz as well had a good performance. So, yeah, solid day all around for you, really, after obviously a bit of a slow start. You're sort of up against it to begin with. Pat, reasonably good day as well. Obviously, he had Mayfield, so he got sort of offset Ibuka to a degree, I guess. But yeah, outside of Genty, who again only really got a touchdown, the Broncos defense not too much to write home about. So probably a fairly generous 86, I would say, actually, from Pat. Would you agree, Chris?
Yeah, pretty much propped up by D points, I would say. Broncos D did a job on the Titans. Having said that, though, he was disappointed with the output from his 4 receivers, 3 receivers and the tight end there. Just rudimentary going down there. I think it's less than 20 points combined. Not an unbelievable day. However, Baker looks to be a value pick in the draft. I mean,
where he was going was sort of on par with his ADP and stuff, but when you go mid-round QB, it's a bit of a minefield, as we saw with like the likes of Bo Nix or Dak. And you obviously had Mahomes and Mayfield sort of going. So yeah, but Mayfield was one of those good mid-rounders to take. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, liked it. Well, for me, I'm relatively, it's bottom heavy for me. Obviously, Bijan, Ibuka, Boswell, and the Seahawks D are all in double.
You go further than that. You got Javonte and ETN on the bench as well, which you must be thrilled with. Cause,
that's true. Oh, I'm pleased they've come through. I'm pleased they both look like, and we'll come to later on, they could be surefire bell cows in those offenses. So very happy with that. I hope that Mahomes can be a bit of a one-man show going forward. I just want 20 point plus weeks from QBs. That's all I need this season to keep me going.
That's the bar. If you get 20 plus from your QB, they're not letting you down. Anything more than that, it's obviously helping you towards W. So, absolutely. And you get one on the old champ. So, after he knocked you out of the playoffs last year, taking your record to 4-10. Sorry, I skipped the other couple of games, so we'll just dovetail back. Ross is now 3-5 against Mike all time, and Viv is against Elise now 7-4, takes a loss there. Nothing else to add in this game. I picked Pat as well, by the way, so I also lost on the pick'em side of things there. And then we'll go to the last game of the week, which was Great Scott against Ixan, and this featured the second highest scoring team, I think? Yes, 109, call it, to 75. In favour of Jeff, so nice W there. Did lose George Kittle to a hamstring injury, he's now on IR. Slightly unfortunate, but at least he got a tud for him before he left. Just Herb obviously had a great day on that Friday night football game, 34 points. CMC, despite the craziness that popped up with the calf again, he did deliver with the 14 points there, as did just a fairly solid score around, to be honest. And on Ben's side of things, Burrow as per the Bengals norm, decided they would take week 1 off. He only got the 11. Again, beyond that, it's not too bad. The D obviously didn't provide much either, but yeah, better QB score there, and it's a reasonable week. But Jeff definitely taking the plaudits, and we both picked Ixan, so that goes that, Chris.
Well, say no more. Yeah, you're right. It's a suppressed QB score, not help. But having said that, Justin Herbert was electric.
He was
against the Chiefs. So yeah, entirely deserved on that. And we talk about 23-point differences. That's still put Jeff within or Ben's score within 10 points, and the 10 points really comes from the running back core for Jeff. So Nakua and Harrison excellent as well. You see on the other side, James Conner and Williams sort of bumping the stats up with a TD apiece. But Ben can't be too disappointed with some of the output. We've seen lower output and wins. It's just it's QB output, and as you mentioned, we shall probably see Joe Burrow go for bigger numbers.
I would think so. Maybe he should have just found another QB in week 1. We all knew what was going to happen. No, but it would have made a difference, to be fair. But anyway. Yeah. So that's it for the week. So in terms of the picking, if you keep it out, I was 3-3 on the week, Chris. You were 2-4, so fairly similar. But I got my lock, and you
yeah.
So,
I'll take it. I'll take the win.
I do have the all-time stats, but I'll drop them maybe a bit later in the season, just mix them in here and there. We'll go on to the league news now, though, with the recaps done. Quick whiz at the standings, but obviously only one game in the books, so not too much of interest. Leading up the league and the Southampton division is the Dice, with the newly anointed Blackpool Pirates. If you haven't figured out what Ross is doing this year, you do know now the team names. So yeah, he is 50 points to the good, 55, points over the next closest team to division. That's pretty outrageous. Three teams in each division won, because we had an intra-divisional week in week 1. 2 of the Southampton divisional teams won with 81 and 68 points. Old Mikey there, after losing, has more points yet than Mike Kitchen's great again, but that's how it falls sometimes. So Mike and obviously Viv and Freddie all won. Thunderbolts for division. Jeff leads that up as the only 2 teams went over 100 in week 1, actually, didn't they? Yeah. But it's fairly close to there, because you, myself, and Jeff all pretty much did around 101, and all the teams that lost scored below 90. So lots a bit more uniform in the Portsmouth division, shall we say, Chris? Probably not too interesting to go through the breakdown at the moment. We've only had 1 week of games. Obviously, it's fairly straightforward. Looking at the coach score, a number of teams with fairly low scores. We've got 7 teams to sub 10 there, so that's pretty good going. And then we've got 3 who are over the 25-point mark. You, myself, and my dad, Chris. I suppose in our cases, obviously, we scored basically 100 as well, so we'll take that bench points to go with our starting points. And obviously, my dad had a reasonably good day as well there. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Check out the Copilot trademark power rankings, because that's going to be just a fun thing to do each week. I've scheduled it in. It's just going to do it automatically, hopefully. So
that's good.
Yeah.
They worked it out quite well this week, apart from the obvious team name blunders. But it's quite funny when it pops out.
Yeah, exactly. Roll with it. And on the trade block, for my team, because we all know I love a trade. Half my team's on the block as per standard. Dobbins, Coleman, Golden. Oh, there's some rhyming there. Brown, Cup, Fannin, and maybe Gibbs if you make enough offer, all on the trade block for me. So if you fancy any of those or multiple of those guys, let me know. That's probably. Oh no, I missed one thing for the milestones. Chris, I've done it finally. I've entered the 100 regular season wins.
Oh, I say it's taken a while, but well done.
Yes.
It is a good time to be in. Welcome to the club.
Thank you very much. Beating my dad, it's the way I would have wanted to do it. So, got there eventually. That's it for the news and stuff. So we'll just mosey straight on to the previews with the Monday Night Football jingle. Here we go. Okay, Chris, this week we have another intra-divisional week. We have a mix of 1-0 teams facing off, a mix of 0-1 teams facing off, as per you would expect after a first divisional week. We have Gridiron Gang against Great Scott, which is a Hutamaki Bowl. Both these teams are 1-0, so one of those guaranteed to be amongst the leaders of the league after this week. We've got Tom Torrance against Make Kitchens Great Again, which is the Winchester Bowl. They are also both 1-0 in the Southampton division, and as I remarked, they obviously both have less than 82 points each. We've got Bucking the Trend against Oakland Golden Bears. They are both 0-1, so they're both searching for their first win. We have Blackpool Pirates against the Dream Team, which is a Lock's Bowl. Obviously, Ross being the league leader so far. Ben Necessities against Forge Flyers, which is a Founder Bowl. And Pakistan against Ixan. They are both 0-1 as well. I was going to say, actually, I didn't say it, sorry, on the recap of Great Scott versus Ixan. Great Scott is 3-1 against Ixan. Now, Ben is the leader in wins in the league. And I would hazard a guess that may be the only team he has a losing record against. 3-1. I know there's not been too many. But, he lost to Freddie last year, but he's only played him once. Oh, and you, of course, he's 7-15 against you. But yeah, Jeff slowly opening a lead up. So we'll see how it goes, for Ben in this week. But where do you want to go with the marquee matchup, Chris?
So I'm going to go with the team with the league's highest scorer last week, and almost the league's lowest scorer.
Practically lowest scorer. It's close enough.
So let's go with the dice roll team, who are absolutely Pirates, versus the Dream Team.
Pirate indeed. Yeah, Lock's Bowl then for the marquee matchup this week. You picked a good one based on projections, 93 to 90 points. The history of this one, let's chuck that in the mix as well. Ross is 5-8 all time against Viv, so reasonably close on that. Ross is projected the win. So if we take a look at the lineups for Ross's team, he has put Travis Kelce in. He's done it. He's brought him in after his one catch and touchdown fantasy point day, dropping Trevion Henderson to the bench. That's bold, I would say. Other than that, I think he is unchanged. So he's rolling out the 11 personnel this week. Running back, tight end, and 3 wide receivers. On the other side of the board, for the Dream Team, where does he go after his sub 50-point week? Well, he brings in Jordan Mason for obviously Jerome Ford, who he's cut. But other than that, I don't believe there's any other changes. He deserves to be cut after that, to be honest. We got a receiver heavy game really here, Chris, because we're going with the old spread 10 personnel, 1 running back, 4 receivers as well. Yeah, so, have I got anything else I know down this game? I do not. Do you think Ross is going to follow up with another week of this one, or do you think Viv recovers? Is it going to be enough if he does?
Well, I think that with any team with the level of explosiveness, shall we say, of Ross's team, you look at their Allen versus the Jets and Henry against Cleveland, Zay Flowers again. But look, I worry that last week was a flourish because of a game that was completely mad, and that this week scoring may well be quite suppressed. I don't think that we're going to see the heights again. And I think you're right. I think bringing someone like Kelce in against Philly, could be a bold move, but also for Viv, you look at the other side, and I don't think the KC Philly game is going to be much of a boat race as we perhaps would like. I think that might be a little bit too.
I completely agree. I think if any, there's a chance that's a blowout in the Eagles' favour. If not, I think it's going to be a fairly low scoring game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Eagles
but
good in week 1. Yeah, go on.
You can't deny the talent of some of these guys. It's just whether or not they're going to get the use that you would expect. I like the defensive matchup for Viv. I think justice for Zach Charbonnet on the bench.
He might have the leading Seattle running back there. Given Viv went quite wide receiver heavy in the draft as well. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's brought in Jordan Mason, but like you say, yeah. I mean, what receiver would you bench for Zach Charbonnet? It's a tough call, isn't it?
I wouldn't. I'd sack Mason off.
You do him over Mason? Yeah. I get. Yeah. I get. He's away to Pittsburgh as well. I don't know, but obviously they just got tore up by the Jets, so
we'll see. But no, I think that again, there could be a number of stuttering offenses. You look at the Texans, you look at the Giants, look at the Rams maybe to a point. There's question marks over that. Whilst the other side, I have fewer question marks. I think that if it's not going to be one, it could be more. I think we saw Higgins last week be a bit suppressed because the Bengals weren't great. I think Zay Flowers won't score 21 again, but even if you half the points there for some of those guys, then you probably end up with still a 90 point week. Whilst Viv, I think it'd be a very streaky week if some of those receivers are the other way. So I hate to say it, but some of the fact that Henry Allen might carry Ross for most of this season, I'm going to keep going with that.
I mean, for two players to hit your wagon too, fantasy-wise at least.
You might as well do it that way, yeah. I don't think Wilson and Higgins are going to be that bad either, to be honest.
I am going to go with Ross's team as well, just because, after such a weak week from Viv's team, like sort of a similar thing, and some of the players Ross has, it's hard to go against that. I'm moving to the next game, better necessities against Forge Flies. Becky keeps calling me, so I'm going to have to answer this. If you could take us through this. Yeah, thank you.
I will carry on. Okay, Benecestis versus Forge Flies. Let's have a little look at this then, shall we? So, Benecestis are 34 points up already, and how's that? Well, Jaden Daniels has scored 23 points and change on Thursday night, as well as Debo going for 10 and a half. Look, for me, it has to be an improvement on last week for some of my peripheral players, I think, to be able to catch up this already. As we spoke about before, Mahomes is he a boom bust player this year? That's probably the question to ask. But 28 points to start the season off against the Chargers. Again, away and unfancied was pretty good going from a fantasy perspective. I think Philly at home represents a very different kind of challenge.
It does, but I think we saw Dak has those 2 touchdowns that Javonte scored last week. I don't think we're batting too much of an eyelid. They seem to have a reasonable upset. Now, I get Dak scored George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, whereas the cupboard for Mahomes at the moment is not that. But being in Arrowhead, I think that has to play into it to a degree as well. That Eagles pass defense didn't look outstanding, I would say. And this profile's like a game where they're probably going to be losing, so I think based on volume alone, again, he's got a reasonably good floor. We both have gripes to the fantasy community, but they all fade him this week. They all think he's good, but I think of volume alone, he should have a decent game.
Yeah, I don't have too much of an issue there, and again, prime time, I got no problem. And on the other side, looking at that. Brown, Igbuka, I think it should be much more volume there. I've got Williams, Javonte Williams, Etienne, and Robinson all starting for me. All going to be bell cows, and the Seahawks versus Pittsburgh. Hopefully, they can bring Aaron Rodgers back to earth a little bit. Whilst on the other side, we're still a little bit undecided as to what Detroit really are. If they're going to be the same two-headed beast as last season, and whether or not they can still perform as they did at home. So Montgomery, as well as he has played in years gone by, is it now going to be primarily gigs with him at the goal line? But I like Hubbard and Brown in whatever matchup they're playing in, and Justin Jefferson, JJ and JJ Mack combining. I think that's one to watch as the season goes on. I think JJ McCarthy is going to be an intriguing growth, and if anyone can get on that train early and reap the rewards, you're probably going for it. So I'm going to back myself. I think the team that I'm putting out this week has enough to do it, but it could be very close, and it could come down to the finest of margins. as a
Yeah.
cricket comment once said.
It's an interesting one. Yes. It's an interesting one, especially with obviously my dad getting 34 points in the bag already. That's not really I would say a massive output from the two players there, but it's more about avoiding sort of the trap door, I suppose. 10 points from Debra doesn't let you down, 24 points from your quarterback also doesn't let you down, but you could fairly equally offset that with the players opposite on the screen as you see it. So then it comes back to sort of what's going on elsewhere in the rosters. Like you kind of said, was jury's still out on what sort of Detroit we're going to have this year. Like you say, well, I think McCarthy probably will come good as well, but obviously it's easy to forget he's basically a rookie again, given he missed his year last year, and it'll come with JJ's too good, obviously, to not be good, but might not be early in the season that he starts to pop off. It's really about Hubbard and Brown, I think, for on my dad's side. They need to perform, I think, probably to give him. Well, that's where the points are going to come from on top of what he's already got. Hubbard sort of saved his day a bit with a garbage time touchdown last week. And Brown, again, when the Bengals improve, he should be better. But sort of the problems with that O-line there was the worry I had coming into the draft process with Brown, that he will have good days, but the days where the O-line just doesn't perform, he's going to obviously be up against it. Whereas on your side, I mean, you had a solid week one. I like that you've obviously benched Hill. Sorry, it's bold, but it's a brave and bold. But I see exactly why you've done it. Certainly for the likes of ETN and Williams, where there's going to be volume and a reasonably good chance of a touchdown with those guys. And then, Brown and Booker could have a solid day as well. So I like the makeup for your team this week. Seahawks against Pittsburgh's an interesting D choice, but we'll see. Eagles against Chiefs, I don't know how good that is either. So I think that's one to throw either way. But yeah, I'm going to pick your team too. I'm going to go with you. So we've got some quorum going on with the previews so far this week, Chris. I didn't hear what you previewed, obviously, because I had to pick up the phone quickly. But yeah, my dad's obviously projected the win 100-93 with the early players, the 34 points on the board. Obviously, he's looking for his first win. You're looking to avoid your first loss, if you put it that way. History of this one all time, it's pretty even, 10-11. You've got the slight edge, Chris.
Well,
lineup wise, my dad's going with the 30 personnel, as are you. Changes, we sort of already touched on that. You've obviously bring in Williams and ETN, and benching Hill and McLaurin, which actually I didn't say about McLaurin. I like that bench too. Wise bench, certainly he only got the 5 points, so definitely with hindsight, wise bench as well. But he'll come good. He just obviously needs a few weeks given all the time he missed in the pre-season. And ETN, by the way, I also didn't touch on that. Like, God, 8th round workhorse running back. That's,
can't go wrong.
Trees too often.
Value there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my dad's only change is bringing Debo for Xavier Worthy. He has been ruled out as well. And this is obviously a founder bowl, as we said. I didn't do the injuries on the previous game. Nothing to update, though. I think clean bill of health there. So we'll go instead onto our next game, which is Pakistan versus Iksan. The projections in this one have it going to Iksan to find their first win, 96-90. Both these teams coming in 0-1. So yeah, maybe a rough start on the cards for the current champ. Iksan added Quentin Johnston for $11 during the week. He comes straight into the lineup. And over. Who was he playing last week? Chris, do you remember? Was it maybe Nick? No, he didn't play. DJ Moore, over DJ Moore. So he's rocking with the 30 personnel. And on Pat's side of the board, let's see. I don't think he's made any changes to my eye. So he's going with the 11 personnel, running back, tight end, and 3 wide receivers. The history of this one all time, Iksan is 8-6 against Pakistan. So we're going to have another fairly close one. And what's your view on this one, Chris? Where do you see this one going?
See, Pat doesn't have enough variety for me. I mean, he's super reliant on Tampa being good and Detroit being good, and then everything else down the bottom there, is much for a muchness. I think we haven't seen the best of Genty yet, but again, that's a difficult matchup for them. And the Broncos, This is my hot take of the week: is that Daniel Jones is going to be good. I think if I've spoken to a few people about this, I think Daniel Jones is going to be good this year. However, against that Broncos D, I mean,
yeah, not the week for Daniel Jones.
That's the challenge. I think that's the upper limit. Having said that, though, we know that he's dual threat, and it'd be interesting to see how they deal with that. But overall, there isn't for me enough variety in what could be a punchy matchups, shall we say. On the other side, though, I mean, Ben's receiving core is questionable, very questionable. Jerry Jeudy and Quentin Johnston at this point of the season, not ideal.
I'm all right with Jeudy. Sorry, just to kind of, I'm fine with Jeudy because he's going to get volume. He didn't have a great week one, but Flacco is going to be slinging it. If he has 50 pass attempts against Baltimore, I wouldn't be surprised. So, Judy's not the one I have a problem with. Quentin Johnston, to your point, is the one and I don't mind him as an ad to see if he's going to be sort of a touchdown heavy guy in a pass. What could be a more pass heavy Chargers offense than we see, but we've seen Quentin Johnston do this before, pop up with a couple of touchdowns and then just disappear. And he's obviously really the third receiver probably. Granted, a former first-round pick, so there's pedigree there. But, you got like McConkey and Keenan Allen. And are they always going to be that pass-heavy, or was that just a specific thing against the Chiefs? I don't know. He's got David Njoku. Again, I don't know about doubling up on the Browns. Even DJ Moore, he was okay in week one. And Jacoby Myers, which, again, there might be some mileage there. I think all of that I probably prefer over Quentin Johnston. But is Jeudy elite, to your point, Chris? No, but I think he's reasonably good for a running back heavy team. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have limited. I know I get the significance of the week against Baltimore, but yeah, I stay away from the Browns this year. I think that's just going to be a cluster as the year goes on. But for somewhere. The thing that I do like though in this is those two running backs, and we know that Connor and Williams are as reliable as the day is long. Taylor against Denver, as we said before, it provides is the most difficult test. But having said that, though, they may well use him to stay away from that quite elite secondary that Denver have. And then the Lions D against Chicago. Well, until we know what that team is, I'm staying well away from them. So this is a hard one to predict, I would say, for me, Nath. But I'm going to go with Pat. Okay. I had a mind to lock Ben. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to obviously pick Ben, but I had a mind to do it. Sort of you touched it. It's just... Pat's got good players, but like you said, when you double up too much, you get so reliant. Yeah. So if both Tampa and Detroit have a bad day or a subpar day, it just snookers you because it's just too much ground to make up. And Tampa have a reasonably tough defensive matchup against Houston, I would say. In Houston, I think they can overcome it, but and with the Detroit against the Bears, they might be more run heavy, try and get the run game going. They're going to be at home. They'll score points. So, but again, we've got that wild card of what's his name, Isaac Tesla, being thrown in there now as well. Like that's put a bit of a fly in the ointment for Pat's double Detroit strategy. So, and then beyond that, Trey McBride, I don't know. He doesn't score touchdowns. He's so annoying. Genty's going a fairly tough matchup. They just shut down the Chargers, the Chiefs running game completely in week one. That O-line didn't look particularly great, even against the Patriots last week. So Genty will come good. It's just I don't see it here. The Broncos is obviously the nice touch there. It will be on the road. The reason I was nearly going to block Ben, I mean Burrow, this has got to be the week he gets it going right against the Jags. He should be slinging it. The three running backs are solid. Again, you referenced, I know Taylor's playing against Denver, but it's okay. He'll be a volume-based player if nothing else. It just the receiver core is weaker. Obviously, Johnson's the one thing I don't like there. But I think just across the board, I see the route to victory being a bit easier for Ben here than it is for Pat. So that's the way I go. Juwan Jennings, he picked up a shoulder injury last week, but he should play, I think, albeit with Mac Jones. No other injuries to mention. So we'll go on to our next game then, which is the Huhtamaki Bowl. 2 1-0 teams. It's Gridiron Gang. It's Great Scott. I am projected to win this one 103 to 93. Wowzers. If we take a look down the lineup, for me, I am unchanged. Going with the 30 personnel, 3 running backs, 2 receivers. And for Great Scott, let's see, he has pulled in Rome Adunze, I think, yes, for George Kittle, who is obviously now on IR. And beyond that, he's unchanged. So he's going with the 20 personnel, 2 running backs, 3 receivers. I am against. I've never beaten Jeff. I'm 0-2 against Jeff. So there you go. Does that change this week, Chris?
I think so. I think we saw Jeff have a good week last week with a relatively unchanged team, and then Dunze comes in. But yeah, there's nothing to say this team's not going to do well. And I think it's going to be quite a high scoring week, I think.
Yeah.
We see good matchups across the board. I would say in games that matter. Maybe the only question mark is over Kamara, but as you sort of talk about volume based guys, perhaps that's it. And at home, I quite like that too. So yeah, and Cardinals against Carolina, I do quite like that as well. On your side, though, I think you're steeped in a lot of upside. Jackson aside, and we know what he's capable of, should do the same thing again in what's going to be a bit of a feisty matchup as always against Cleveland. But Sutton and Brown are going to be number 1 receivers this week, and Pollard, Cook, and Gibbs are all number 1 running backs who are likely to get most of the carries. Rams against Tennessee as well. We saw from Cam Ward last week some pretty questionable things. Yeah. I don't think that for me that can really be overcome week 2. So if I have to lock somebody this week, which I think I do because I'm running out of time, then it's going to be you. I think that's only fair in a 0-0. So let's go with that. I get the feeling from your team this week, but it'd be a really interesting QB matchup here between these two teams. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, we'll see if, like I said, that Chargers game plan for week 1 was sort of Chiefs specific, dropping bombs and passing a lot, or if they revert to being a bit more, Greg Roman's archetype and running the ball a bit more heavily. And hopefully the points are pouring because the heavens just opened as I saw. You also turned to look out your window, Chris. Hopefully the points are dropping in this one. I was going to lock myself as well. I was going to be brave, but you've done the lock, and I'm not going to double dip with the locks because there's no fun in that. So I will pick myself, however. I think this could be potentially the highest scoring game we have in the LOC this week. There's lots of things I think I like about my team this week. Colton Sutton, I think I can't remember the Colts leading cornerback, but I know he's not playing this week. And Bo Nix didn't look great. So if Bo Nix tries to get going this week, Sutton should be a beneficiary. You mentioned about Jackson. Marquise Brown, don't really know what I'm going to get with him. He should be a volume play, hopefully, so we'll find out. Pollard against the Rams, not the best matchup, but again, with Spears out, like we saw against them last week, he should get the volume. Cook's fairly solid. And Gibbs, like I said, I think we'll probably see the Detroit be better this week and maybe be run heavy, so he should obviously benefit against that. Like you said, Rams against Tennessee. I did have the Niners against the Saints, but and I think Cam Ward will come good, but you sort of said it, rookie quarterbacks, you sort of target those, especially when they're sort of getting up and going. I like that play. Here on Jeff's side, again, it profiles to be quite good. CMC should be an absolute workhorse, obviously, with Mac Jones in there. Kamara against the tough Niners D, like you said, it's a volume play. I don't know how much upside's there. And again, with the receivers, Nakua and Odunze, we'll sort of see on that one. Nakua could have a decent day. Marvin Harrison, I struggle because he obviously he did quite well in week 1. Didn't have a great deal of targets, got a touchdown that sort of made his day what it was. We've obviously know from his rookie season that the offense has been a bit weird and he wasn't getting fully involved. But it's a good matchup. So again, he could keep it going here, and obviously the Cardinals do against Carolina as well. So yeah, will be a really interesting one to see who comes out on top in this one. Two good scoring teams here. Injury-wise, I think everyone has a clean bill of health that is potential to play. Yep. So we'll go on to the Winchester Bowl. Tom's Tyrants against Mick Kitchen's Great Again. Both of these teams are 1-0 as well, so one of these has a shot at leading the Southampton division after this one. Projections say that will be Tom, who is in the lead, 25-5, and the projected win of 99-81. The 25 for Tom, courtesy of Jordan Love, and the 5 for Ollie, courtesy of Matt Gay. In terms of changes, let's see, for Tom, I think Ricky Pearsall comes in over DeAndre Swift, so he's going with the 20 personnel this week. 200 receivers, and for Ollie, Aaron Rodgers into the starting lineup over Trevor and Lawrence, straight from the waiver wire. And has he made any other changes as well? I think Tetero, has come in for RJ Harvey. I believe at the moment that's his only change as well. So he's going with the 11 personnel, running back, tight end, and 3 receivers. History of this matchup all time. Tom's Tyrants is 6-9 against Ollie's team. Injury-wise, Brock Bowers hasn't practiced all week, but it sounds like he will plan to play. If he doesn't, he has probably Jaden Waddle or RJ Harvey would be the either two he chooses. Wise bench of Ja'Cory Cross-Gamera as well on Thursday night. Do you think the points in the bag are going to be enough to carry Tom on towards the W in this one, Chris?
I mean, they're very useful to have. Obviously, to get near enough 25 points on a Thursday, you need to know your QB score and go from there. I think Tom's team is quite strong, generally speaking.
Yeah.
You know, you look down there, you got guys with volume everywhere. You know, Metcalf, London, Pearsall are going to be hogs in their offense. Barkley and Achan in theirs. And when you look at what they're playing against, there are more question marks to come with that. You know, Ollie is starting Aaron Rodgers. You know, everyone knows how much I love Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the man. And certainly in week 1, he proved that you know, he's somewhere that he's loved again, and that's not got all this weirdness as an actual organisation. So we'll see at home if that can translate over. For me, I'm not sure that it can. And I think that the week 1 30 plus point thing would be a bit of a flash in the pan. Mm-hmm. But if he can provide the stability that Ollie needs, then that would be great, because Lawrence didn't do that. Having said that, though, if there's 1 week to play Lawrence, it's probably this one. So hey, but yeah, you know, I think Lamb and if we saw Lamb do reasonably well in week 1 with an 11-point score. We didn't see Thomas do at all well. You know, you could say 80 yards, which isn't too bad. 11 yards and a touchdown. Sorry.
Yeah, touchdown on the end around.
Yeah. So it saved his day. So yeah, I think there's more to come from that unit as they bed in. But and same with McMillan as well. I think he's a talented receiver that's caught up in a bad situation, but I think it's pretty middling with them playing Arizona. I just can't get behind. I think Aaron Jones last week did most of his damage through the air, and his potential timeshare, and Brock Bowers is injured. So there's more question marks to get raised with Ollie's team, plus the fact that they scored a very low total last week, as opposed to Tom's, who, you know, let's be honest, have got some actual quality. So I'm going to go with Tom. I think that's a pretty strong yes from me. And yeah, I think this week, it's going to be more uphill sledding for Ollie.
Yeah, I think I was mulling again whether to lock Tom here. I'm gonna pick Tom as well. Just 'cause, I mean, I don't necessarily profile as being a massively high scoring week, but when you've got guys like London, Barkley, even Achan, it should just be solid. It's an interesting move, I think, personally, for him to play Pearsall this week with Mac Jones. I probably wouldn't do it personally. I would either stick with Swift, revenge game, or even Keenan Allen. Don't mind that, because I think he'll be solid for the Chargers. So I get why he's doing it. It's just somewhat interesting. But I think that should be fine. And we've got DK Metcalf, by the way, with the revenge game against Seattle. So you know what, actually, screw it. I'm not on Tom's team. There's the strong base of players. DK Metcalf in the revenge game. Pistol's the only thing I don't like, but he might well swap him out. So I'm going to go with a lock for Tom's team. Yeah, solid. He's got 25 points in the bag. I presume this passes the mirror test, Chris. It's fairly standard QB score and kicker. Who cares?
100%.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Can pass that mirror test.
There's a serious amount of interference on the line. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Okay.
But it's a strange one. So apologies to anyone with headphones there.
It was fine on mine, so hopefully it didn't come through on the broadcast. But for Mike Kitchen's great again. Like you say, what Rodgers are we going to get? I think for Ollie to win this one, he needs probably Rodgers to at least match Jordan Love. Lamb should have a good day. The reason I sort of had pause as well, I think Lamb and Thomas could have very good days given the respective defenses they're playing. And to throw McMillan, because I think even if he's not being involved, they'll be in garbage time potentially if the game goes that way, and then he's involved that way. It's Aaron Jones and Brock Bowers that completely give me pause, like sort of was the same case for you. And the options that Ollie has to turn to, it's probably RJ Harvey. We don't know how much work he's going to get because Dobbins led the backfield in week 1. It's a bit of a timeshare, and the Colts are fairly good D as well. So, yeah, I just like the makeup on the week for Tom a lot more here, and that is why I'm going to lock them. So we will go to the last game of the week then, which it features 2 0-1 teams as well. So one guaranteed, obviously, to go to 0-2. Not quite the same though, because Mike scored, I think, about 80 points last week, whereas Freddie only scored, obviously, the 50. If we look in terms of the projections, Mike is projected to win this one 98-95. Both have players played. 14-11 is the score in favour of Mike. He got the 14 from Josh Jacobs, and Freddie got the 11 courtesy of Micah Parsons and the Packers defence. If we look at the history against with these two teams, bucking the trend is 0-1 against Freddie, so they've only faced each other once last season. If we look at the lineups, I think Mike is fielding a unchanged side at the moment, so he's going with the 30 personnel again. And then on the other side for Freddie, Justin Fields, who was his big addition, $26. We'll come back to that in a second. He's in the starting lineup at quarterback. And then in terms of the skill positions, I believe he is unchanged. No, did he drop? Yeah, he dropped Pacheco to the bench, didn't he? I presume for Tyrone Tracy, but also going with the 30 personnel there as well. Mike also had a big addition, not starting him at the moment. He splashed $18 out for Kayshon Boutte. But yeah, he's on the bench at the moment. By the way, some big spending for week 1, given the budget's only 50. We have the top up, so it's hard to peg because depending how you do, you can make a lot of that money back fairly quickly. But yeah, some fairly high spenders. Yeah, who's going 0-2, Chris, is my question to you, though.
Well, that is the question. I think it's a handy 14 from Josh Jacobs, who has been the cornerstone of Mike's team for some time. But, you know, there's pieces in there that we've got no issue with. Smith and Jigba, no problem. Breece Hall, as you mentioned earlier on, bit of a steal, tough matchup, but bit of a steal. And Bucky Irving, who's as solid as the day is long. But the question remains for me over QB, 100% over Dak Prescott's scoring this season, and whether or not George Pickens, generally speaking, is going to be a starting fantasy receiver. Mm-hmm. I just don't know. I saw today that Judkins as well is activated for Sunday, which, if that is to be believed, gives Mike a headache, but not really a viable option, sadly. We'll see how he goes this week, though. But again, he's been activated, so you've got to drop someone.
Our rule is 1 game week. You're allowed if they start the week on the reserve, they're allowed to finish it. But yeah, if he's not corrected that situation by next week, obviously you can't make any ad drops while he's on there either. No. So.
Remember, but he could be electric, by the way. And I think just some of his, if you look at some of his tape, it's pretty impressive. So, but he's a head case and head case organisation, so who knows? whilst Freddie, we saw him score a bit of a dud last week, and I fear for some of these running backs. I like Kenneth Walker. I think he's very talented, but again, he could end up getting it in a pretty tricky committee there. I think the Giants' offense with Russell Wilson under center always has question marks, and that was no different last week. And Hampton, until they start, as you said, start playing that Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman style ground and pound, has limited value for me, though he is very talented. Chase and Smith, particularly Chase, I think will get better this week. We should see him shoot up. But Fields against Buffalo in week 2 at home, we'll see if that's a flash in the pan, but I think that's a lot of money to spend on someone who wasn't necessarily being spent on. This to me has a real down and dirty effect. I think that.
Would you like me to go while you make your mind up?
I think that. Go on then. Let me mull that one over. Yeah. I think it's going to be really close.
I'm going to pick bucking the trend, and I don't think it's going to be close. I know you're not a big fan of Dak Prescott and the Pickett stack, but this particular week I am, because I thought they were reasonably good. They've had a long time off. The Giants look like terrible. Dallas's O-line look pretty good. This is going to be the week that the stack pays off for Mike. And beyond that, I love it. He's had the 40 points from Jacobs, Smith and Jupiter, Pittsburgh. I think Joey Porter Jr. is going to miss the game. So he could have a pretty good day. Brees Hall against Buffalo, if nothing else, is going to be a volume play. I like Bucky Irvin against Houston as well. Texans against Tampa, it's an interesting choice. I wonder if he'll change it, but I'm okay with it. I like those aspects. It's mainly about Prescott and Pickens. I think that will be the key for Mike here. If they could have a very big day, and that will help carry them off. But there's just so many question marks about Freddie's team at the moment for me. Chase is going to have much better days. It could be as quick as this week. Devonta Smith does bet well when Dallas Goedert misses games, and Dallas Goedert is inactive. He will not be playing this week. Justin Fields is a very strange one, because you need to sort of throw out any thoughts on what you think of Justin Fields as a quarterback. I think he's okay as a quarterback, but for fantasy, he's a bit of a cheat code, because he's one of those quarterbacks. I'm trying to remember back in the day of a comparison, but he's one of those quarterbacks where he doesn't have to be good in real life to be good in fantasy. He was good last week, so he was both. But we just saw obviously and the Jets aren't the Ravens obviously, but the Bills defense isn't vaunted, so I think he can have a decent day. But you never know with Justin Fields, because he's that kind of player, inconsistent. There's a reason he's on his third team in 3 years or whatever it is. But it comes back to the running backs to me, which you absolutely picked up on. Kenneth Walker might not even be the starting running back on his team against a team which should have a pretty good run defense, even though Hall shredded it a bit last week. Tyron Tracy, is he even the starting running back on his team? It might be Cam Scott, I don't know. And even if he is, does it matter for the Giants, like you said at the moment? Aaron Hampton, I think he's going to come good as the season goes on. He had a fairly decent week 1, albeit just didn't get the touchdowns. But we sort of need to see it with these rookies. Once they arrive, they arrive. But until that point, it can be a bit awkward. Najee Harris is obviously back in play now. Didn't do too much in week 1, but the talk all season was that they would split the load quite evenly. So I wonder, as the weeks develop, does that sort of happen as well? A lot of questions over those players, and like you said, he doesn't even really, Freddie, have much place to turn to. Isaiah Pacheco, there's been a lot of talk about, he's already profiling as a mega bust. I'm not ready to throw in the towel on him after that week 1, because the game sort of got away from the Chiefs. They kind of threw the game plan out when Worthy got injured. He only had 5 carries. That's criminal. I think he's a good running back. Yes, he's going to split a bit of work with Kareem Hunt, but I think he's far more talented than Kareem Hunt at this stage in his career, at least. So I think he'll come good. Probably isn't going to be this week, though, against the Eagles' defense with Jalen Carter, hopefully not spitting on people. Yeah. I think it's going to be tough sledding. Fields has to have a good day, as does Chase, and Smith could as well. If those 3 all hit, I could see Freddie winning this one, but I think Prescott and Pickens have a decent day, and there's enough other quality on Mike's team for him to get the win here as well. Has that helped you make your mind up?
I think it has. I think you're right. And going through it, I think for me it's a QB off. I think that's the biggest be the biggest difference here.
Yeah.
I'm happy to go with Mike because I think that they've got a more established team. But yeah, with the caveat that there could be some mega weirdness in this game.
Yeah, definitely. And that is it for the previews. The show is probably going to be a hair over an hour, but it's still punchier certainly than it used to be, and still giving you all the good stuff. Yeah, if you would like to come and watch the games at mine on Sunday, you are welcome to do so. Chris, you're going to be abroad, so you have your hall pass. That's absolutely fine, but enjoy your time away. And of course, thank you for joining us as well, as always.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be able to talk about it, and I'm glad the season's going quite well. So
we're both off to a good start with 1-0 records, so you'd love to see it. So have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. Best of luck in your matchups, unless you're playing me, of course. Goodbye, everyone.